Hello. Happy New Year, everyone, or whoever might be watching this later. I took an amazing staycation with my family, and so I didn't let everyone know as much that this was happening. But today is January 2nd, 2019, and I hope that you had some restful downtime and some good holiday cheer and you are like feeling ready for this new year. I got to tell you, like, I'm feeling a lot of magic right now. I feel like a lot of us have been doing some really deep work the last few years on ourselves and on getting clear. We've certainly been facing a lot around the planet, and that's, of course, going to continue. But I just want to recognize everyone out there in this community and beyond for just how much like energy we've been putting into like figuring our shit out personally, spiritually, globally, collectively, culturally. It's so big. So deep breaths on that. And I want to just talk a little bit today about, what it really means, or just even just some insights on stepping into 2019 from an empowered, wildly feminist, nature led place. I am super excited that I just finished Bombalore's brand new website. And on it, I'm really showing up to share with you what I feel like is a very just new and more feminist approach to running a modern business. I love doing the business work and I love working with entrepreneurs. And I also, have lived firsthand this like deeply masculine way of living and working. And so I've been in deep inquiry for years now around what it is to, to find the right left brain balance, and certainly to fold the wild feminine back into our everyday lives and our businesses. So I'm really excited about this topic. And I was like, Amanda, making my notes before, like what to share, how much to share without taking too much of your precious time. But I just want to talk a little bit about, yeah, like how do we step into a new year by honoring the seasons of life, of our own seasons, and use that to help us gain momentum and kind of stay the course all year long, so that whatever dreams you're carrying in your heart like are actually really, really, really going to come true, or have huge momentum movement towards them this year. So I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you're already pretty clear on what your goals are for 2019, like those 1 to 3 really crucial core heart goals that you're ready to get done this year. You're ready to realize. And if you don't have any idea like what your goals are for 2019, you're kind of swimming or spinning with that still and feeling like, oh my gosh, it's like the second and I really just don't know what this year is about, like, please grab a free session with me or with another coach or someone else that you really love and trust. It's so amazing to be mirrored and be seen and have, whoever it is help you to get clear. You can get so clear just by like talking it out. But because it's so crucial that you really do start. Hey, Carly, hi. I am just here talking about approaching, stepping into 2019, into our businesses and our lives from a more feminist and seasonally minded approach. And what I was saying is that, um, if you don't have goals already, take some time, find some help, make those super clear 1 to 3 big goals for the year, because without them, it's like there's no compass. So, you know, whatever it takes for you to just sit down and say, like, these are my 3 goals. And I always recommend that at least 2 of them be measurable. Like, I'm going to write a book. Like, you either wrote the book or you didn't write the book, And then often there's a soul growth goal. For me, like, mastering self-care is one of my bigger goals this year, because I know that I've pushed myself really hard the last few years, and that's cool, but I need to really take super deep care of myself if I'm going to be able to take care of all the people that I serve and my family and all the things. So just to dive right into this whole seasonal approach, this more feminist way, the first thing I want to talk about is just like really honoring this year your own seasons and your own creative cycle. And so I'm gonna just dive in here, and if questions are coming up, just leave them, and then I'll like pause at the end or maybe a little before the end and just answer whatever I can and be helpful in any way that I can. So whether you're an established entrepreneur or you're just getting started or you just are wanting to like work on some deeper projects or work towards doing what you love, it is so crucial as women that we begin to restore, especially to the work life, the honoring our own creative cycle. Because the traditional or the what we've known as the sort of super masculine way is just you sort of go, 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 go. And, we're starting to understand en masse how unsustainable that is. And yet it's still really the way people roll most of the time. And it's the same week after week after week, 9 to 5, whatever it is. Maybe it's even more if you're working for yourself, and it's not sustainable. And especially for women, it just doesn't feel good. So the first thing I want to challenge you to do is to look at your calendar for the year. If you're a woman and you don't track your menstruation, start tracking it. If you no longer menstruate, think about, is there a time of month, or you can use the actual moon outside when it's waning? What is your inward time each month? Start with your downtime. Look at your calendar. If you already know what it is, take a look at that week, and I want you to just put some container there, like some kind of, I don't know, red hearts every day, whatever. And put it in your mind, and in your heart space, and say to yourself, like, this week is the week every month that I need to plan the least amount of social events. I need to, maybe not be out and about as much in other ways. You're going to be more low energy. That this is a sacred time to go inward and do some of that work. Plan it in. This is something that I think, you know I don't know, it's taken me a long time to understand as an entrepreneur. I thought I wasn't allowed. I thought I had to just keep going and going, and kind of be on this, there's just that upward ladder vibe that, again, is really masculine. The truth is, when I push myself too hard, when it's time to slow down and go in, I end up less productive. Whereas when I take that time for myself, then the weeks that follow, I can sometimes be like insanely productive. Like I can just put out so much creativity to the world. And so look at your calendar and first of all, try to assess for yourself, like, what are my low weeks? What are my low energy weeks? And what are my high energy weeks? And start to think about planning your projects like in that way. Let me know if that resonates or if you like that or that makes sense. Um, the other part of honoring your cycle is to make sure that you're planning self-care and celebration in. So one way to do this, that's just like a quick tip that I think is really powerful if you're not doing it already, is to look at any project that you're planning, whether it's like, a project for a client, or whether it's something that you want to do in your home, or whether it's, an initiative you're taking in your business or a promotion or something like that. And, you plan it out, or you at least have some idea of how you're going to do it. How often, as part of that plan, as the final step, do you put some form of self-care or celebration? That's what I want to encourage you to do this whole entire year. Every time that you start to write out the steps for something that you need to do, plan a celebration at the end of it. It could be going to soak your favorite, I don't know, hot springs or soaking pools. It could be just a bath. It could be an ice cream cone. It could be a little bit of TV, whatever feels nourishing to you is what it is. And if it feels like too much, then try planning one thing every single week. Like, what is the way that you're going to truly intentionally celebrate or take care of yourself, recover, recoup every single week? Because when we're recovering and we're recouping, and we're doing self care and we're like celebrating in a way that's nourishing, um, what happens is like that's when we're actually integrating as people, right? Like that's when our soul and ego have a chance to align and check in and be like, are we on the soul path? Is the ego following the soul? Is the soul like happy and content and rejuvenated so it can keep inspiring the ego to get out there and act for us in the world? I think that this is, again, something that is just so crucial to running a modern business and just finding joy inside of modern life, which is so intense and so much all the time, right? Sarah, my sister's here. How lovely. Well, you'll have to come back and watch the replay, but I am talking about planning your year in a way that honors your cycle, and that this is a radically feminist way to go. And I'm glad that you joined, Auntie, aka my sister, because you are living your dream inside of a job that you have, right? So that makes it like a little bit more complicated, right? You can't just say like, well, on this day, which is the first day of my period, like I'm not going to work. Or maybe you can, but you could say the weekend before or the weekend after, I might need one of these days to myself. So it's like that getting ahead of our needs thing that for me took until so recently to really understand. And it can affect everything, your relationships, your income, your sense of well-being. Um, so the next thing I just want to share about, getting after your goals for the year and bigger projects and realizing that next level for your life and your dreams is really like to start to identify like what's going to be hard as excuse my language, but like so often when we're planning big goals, especially in our life's work, but in other areas of life too, it for our health can be another really challenging one. And also in our relationships, you know, you're looking out over the year and you're thinking like, I really want to do this year. I really want to do this year. And then what a lot of people forget to do is actually just name right away, how is this going to be hard? Like, what are the challenges here? And they usually show up in a few different ways. The challenges are like, first of all, first and foremost, like, what am I afraid of? What is scary to me about this goal that I have, about this dream that I have? The second is like, what skills am I missing? Like, what do I legitimately need to learn in order to realize this goal? And then the last is like, what do I need? It's more like a resources thing. What would I need to have or gather? And you disempower fear when you name it, right? And so for every goal that you have for this year, I want you to go through and do this practice. Write down like, what am I afraid of here with this goal? What could be really challenging for me? What sort of support, help, or resources do I need? And what kind of skills, if any, do I need to learn? Because then you can plan to deal with those things. But if they're not named first, then any goal that you have is really, really tough, One of my goals this year is to go to the gym. And classically, I've like hated the gym. I'm scared of the gym, but I need to go to the gym. And I started going this last fall, just a little bit. And it's been great. So I know that one of my challenges and fears is that, I'm just going to feel so inept and sweaty and a mess. And so I have to face that and say, okay, I know I'm going to feel that way. So what are the stories I can tell myself? And one of mine is like, I give myself permission to be a hot, sweaty mess at the gym because I'm going there for me. I'm going there for my health. I'm going there for my family's health. You can do that with every single goal. I'm just going to check in with this comment. I found that self-care days difficult to explain. Take working under men and male-owned businesses. Any advice? Yeah. So, as someone who has worked with and for men certainly for many years, especially when I owned the tea room. Even though I was the owner, you know, I was sort of beholden to my mentors who were men. And um, you know, I think that we're going to have to change this from the inside out. And, you know, there's a couple different approaches. First of all, most people have personal days. If you have personal days, you best be taking them. They're there for a reason. They're paid days off. And it's good to leave a few, obviously, for things that come up, but you know, it's okay to use them during those weeks. Give yourself permission first to take those days. And then you have to decide in your own circumstance where you're at. I mean, are you in a situation where you could talk to them openly about maybe even changing company policy, or does that seem absurd to you? In which case, do they need to know if you're allowed to take days here and there, or if that's even just expected? Can that be something that you just allow yourself? I find that by and large for women, it's like there is this whole incredibly male dominated world we have to deal with. But first and foremost, we have to convince ourselves that we deserve it, that this is how we work, and that we can be profound change makers, and we can be of profound service to the world and have incredible work ethics when we get our needs met, which so many of us, you know, don't so often. So I don't know if that helps at all, but giving yourself permission first to have those days, and then from there seeing like, well, how can that work in this job or circumstance I'm in right now? You know, how could that work for me? And it might be something different. It might look like something different. It might look like doubling on shifts and then, you know, taking more days off the week. Maybe that doesn't work for right for everyone, but how will it work for you? How can it work for you? How can you adjust? Like where and how? And sometimes we just have to get creative within the situations that we're in. So that's a little bit of feedback on that. I hope that's helpful. And you know, the last thing that I want to just talk about as a more feminist and seasonally minded approach to living out your year is to figure out how and when you are going to check in with yourself, and then do it consistently as like a sacred act. So the easiest that I recommend to people is to start with a weekly check-in. So Sundays are a good day, and I'm talking about like 15 minutes of intentional check-in time where you sit down with yourself and your goals. So you're like, "Oh, these are the goals this year. What are a couple actions I could take this week towards those goals?" Right? But before you even do that, it's really about like, how do I feel right now? What do I need this week? What happened this past week that I feel amazing about, that I need to celebrate myself for? What am I feeling kind of bummed about? Am I holding on to shit? What am I holding on to? Let it go, right? So it's this, what went well? What did not go so well? What needs to be let go of? And what am I going to do to work towards my dreams in this next week? So that weekly check-in will keep you flowing with your own seasons, excited about the week to come, in control, because especially if you're working for a bunch of men that you're not feeling, or you have we all have so many pressures. This is an amazing way that I've taken control of my life and business, is to check in every single week, let go of what needs to be let go of, invite in some new steps that feel fresh and good, and plan in that act of major self-care or celebration into your week, whatever it is. But once a week, what are you going to do for yourself? 20 minutes at least, 20 minutes. And that's not a lot for a week, but you got to start somewhere. If you're already doing some self-care, great. Use that Sunday to check in with that, see if you need a little more, a little less, whatever. And then the other major check-in is to do a seasonal check-in. So that means every quarter. So that means every solstice or equinox. And this is another place where I would say, if you own your own business, block out a day or two around the solstice or equinox. Or if you have a Monday through Friday job or whatever job you have, block out a day off that is your like check-in. If you have a partner, this is a great time also to be like, let's set a date and let's check in, and think about like how questions for your quarterly check-in are like looking again at like your dreams for the year, your goals for the year, and asking yourself in a totally loving, non-judgmental way, how far have I come? Woohoo! What comes next? What are some things that I need to be working on this next season in order to keep moving towards those goals, And this is not a time to like beat ourselves up. It's a time to take stock really intentionally. Again, take control, take power over your life, girl. And just like really assess, assess your personal life, assess your professional life, assess your, fun, your adventure, that kind of part of your life, your self-care, all those different major pockets of life. Check in with them, give yourself so much credit for what you've achieved, and then figure out what didn't go so well, and then plan the next season. And you can plan a lot or you can plan a little. The point is plan a little bit, like at least, right? Like sit down and make that time and check in throughout the year, weekly, once a week, and then every single quarter. And I'm telling you, you will crush it, whatever your goals are. Like, and if you're already doing something like that and it's not working, again, like let's talk. Give me a call, because I love helping, especially women, figure out how to gain momentum on the big dreams, right? Because so often as givers and providers and like, we are, the bigger dreams sometimes are hard to like get after in the midst of it all. So here's one more thing I have for you today. And this is to get you rolling on 2019. Consider giving yourself a 90-day challenge. So whatever your goals are, look over them and think like, what one thing here is so important to me for this coming year? Like, what do I just have to nail this year so I can feel better and shine brighter and get what I want and be of better service to the world and all that stuff? So what's the one thing? Okay. And then I want you to decide, like, I'm going to give myself a 90-day challenge and decide what that looks like, and put a date for the spring solstice or the autumn equinox, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, because I know a few of you are, to check in on that 90-day challenge, and make it something that feels exciting but doable. If it feels like a drag, it's not the right 90-day challenge for you. Okay. If it feels fun and exciting and challenging, that is a good 90-day challenge. Again, this should not be something you think you should do. It has to be something you want to do. Otherwise, you won't do it. You won't have fun. You'll probably want to throw something through the camera at me, because I don't want to do a 90-day challenge for something I don't want to do. So lean into what you love. Find your deeper reason why you want to do this thing, and then be like, okay, what could I do for the next 90 days, every day or twice a week, like whatever it is, but it needs to be measurable, right? So, for example, I would like to write my first book this year. So my 90-day challenge is to write 3 days a week, to work on my book at least 3 mornings a week. So that's my first 90-day challenge. And if you want to have more than one, cool, but try having that one, see where it gets you. And I'm going to come back on the spring equinox and do a follow-up to this specific live. So that's a lot of things about, just a few things really, about planning your year from a more feminist-led seasonal perspective. Just honoring every week. What season do I feel like I'm in right now? Is there a big overarching season of your life right now? It's winter outside, but I feel like I'm in this very summer time in my life. I'm sharing a lot, I'm creating a lot, I'm growing a lot. And then it's like those littler things, those littler weekly, monthly seasons that we can be in. And you can even view your projects that way. Is this project still in the dreaming phase? Is it in the winter phase? Or is it like really go time on this project? Is it spring? Is it summer? Or is something in your life ending? Is it in its autumnal stage? You need to honor that and take some time with that. I feel like the seasons have so much to teach us. And women, as women, who most of you are, know this in our soul. And we can lead our lives and our families and our businesses from that deep intuitive place. So thank you so much for being here. If you're watching the replay, please feel free to leave your comments and questions, and I'll stop back by in a day or two and check in on them. Much love and light to you. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Auntie, for being here, and Carly, two of my favorite people in the world. Wouldn't be who I am without you all. All right. Bye-bye.